Hello everyone and welcome. This is Yuri Kasdorp from Mouse and we are here with a brand new iRacing season. And what that means, as you can see, is also a brand new car. It's the new Ferrari 296 GT3 car, just released. We're at this home track on Monza. It should be a really competitive car around here. Very nice combo to try out. Without further ado, let's get into it and look how a lap around this track looks like in the new car that just came to this new build. So here we are, end of the lap, and the new Ferrari 296. You can see, at least from the inside, great looking car, nice sounding car, drives nice too, I think. It can have some entry understeer if you're not careful, so make sure to not go into the corners too fast. But it does mean it's very predictable, this car. So we're at this home track, Monza, for week 1 of the VRS series. For turn 1, the long run up to turn 1 and brake after the 150. At the bushes on the left hand side. Looking for a nice exit there. And we'll go over a couple of ways to approach turn 1. We go more in depth. Turn 2 is very easy to go in too fast, so make sure you don't overshoot the entry here, like before the 100. Same for Lesmo. Make sure to not overshoot the entry. Not all the way to the gravel here. I'll get the long run up to a sky. Brake just before the entrance, so to the right side. Try to carry all the speed out of it you can. Then we only have Parabolica left. I want to be using the green entry on the left side here. Brake just before it ends. Slowly bring it to the inside. And then use all the exit. Bring it back inside again. And that's the lap around Monza and the new Ferrari 296. Right, so here we are for the analysis of the lap. Great sounding car, a bit distracted. So for turn 1, you want to be running next to the white line when you start braking. And I look at the end of the bushes here and brake just before that. So with my reference, my FOV, it looks like this. You go past the 150, and then before the end of the bushes here, I tap on the brake just before the end. So when I'm around here, but I look at the end of the bushes as a reference, so way before the 100, but we cannot see the 150 anymore. From the outside cam, it's right at the 150, I think. But again, from the inside, you cannot see that anymore. Use the end of the bushes. And for turn 1, we have 2 strategies of approaching the corner. Normally, what you would do is keep it to the left side for a really long time and then turn in. Because there's not really any straight between turn 1 and 2, what you can also do is slowly creep towards the inside and straight line brake to the apex. And allows you to brake a bit later, and then we just do all the turning at the apex here anyways, because the exit doesn't really matter. So we slowly creep towards the apex quite early, you can do. Or you can use this line here, where you keep it to the left hand side and get a bit of a better entry to the second part as you can. You can do either. Then the off track here on turn 1, you want to make sure that your left side tires are still on the track and touching the track here, just barely on the white line. It feels like you can go over the right-hander to the first one quite a lot, and you want to do that to make sure you get a good exit from the left-hander coming up. I don't like running over the curb with the new car. I found that if I miss the curb, I get a slightly better exit out of the corner. If you do find a nice line over the curb, it can also work out depending on your setup. But I'm running around it here and then trying to focus on a good exit from the corner here. If you clip the gravel, it costs you a lot of speed. so make sure to not clip the gravel. And we run close to the curb here, onto the second chicane. And the second chicane, again, we want to brake parallel to the white line, and we want to brake at this entry road on the right side here before the 100. And it's really easy to carry too much speed into the chicane, and by far the most important thing is the speed you carry through the chicane and the exit speed you carry out of it. So braking late here will only make it more difficult for you. Braking 5 meters early, more likely than not, makes it just easier to be consistent in the chicane, I found, and just have consistent good runs through it. Again, we want to be running that the right side tires are still on the track and only barely touching the white line here. If that's too much, you're going to get a slowdown, which of course we know is very costly around here. Want to be keeping it tight, so not run too wide, and then get a good angle onto the second curb here. And what I want to do here is make sure that I don't have to brake anymore or lift completely, but when I hit the curb, so I'm flat out, flat out, flat out, when I hit the curb, I go off throttle a bit, keeps the car settled, but I'm not lifting from the throttle completely. I'm keeping it about half throttle, and it keeps the car without bouncing too much, especially when it goes onto the curb and goes off the curb. So if you have a right entry through here, meaning that you didn't exit too wide from the first left-hander, you have a nice angle towards the second right-hander, you can keep a bit on throttle, but you lift a bit, keeping about half throttle. And as you can see, when going over it, the car doesn't bounce much at all. It just lands and it sticks. And that's because I'm not flat out here. If you're flat out, the rears can start to lose traction and you lose time. And you just run close to the gravel here as well. Both Lesmo 1 and 2, it's very easy to go in too fast, and the car understeers a bit, it pushes an entry a bit if you're going too fast. So make sure to not go in too fast. Lesmo 2, I brake just before the 50 as well. Before the 50, and now what you want to do is make sure you get a good exit from the corner. I don't like taking all of the edge or the apex here, so I'm only taking the green and red curbing. And then we want to make sure that at the apex we're flat out to maximize our exit onto the long back straight. And we want to be running as close to the gravel on the left side as we can here. That's where the off track is. Then of course we got the long back straight. We'll fast forward on this, you just click the straightest line. And then we can do two things here. You can either run parallel to the white line and brake at the white line, or you can brake towards the curb a bit and turn on the curb a bit. Normally, it's a bit more consistent for me just parallel braking to the right line, but you can also try leaving maybe a meter to the right-hand side and then slowly braking onto the curb, and that allows you to get a bit more entry, like you can see here, a bit more entry angle onto the corner. So the angle you can make as extreme as you like. The more extreme you get, well, I wouldn't go more than a car with, but the more extreme you get, the trickier it is with braking because you can't straight line brake as much, but you can use the curb on entry a bit more, which allows you to take a bit more speed through the corner, but you'll have to brake a bit earlier. Again, it's most consistent for me to stay parallel, almost parallel to the white line and just brake there. It's about what you prefer and what plans out the best in the race. As I said, I'm keeping it almost parallel, braking onto the curb a bit. The braking point I use here is the entry road as well, and brake just after it appears from my vision, so when my car's right next to it. Brake to the curb here. We want to be as close to this entry cut as we can without actually going over it. If we go over it, the car can bounce up. With a couple other cars, it's worth mentioning, if they bounce up a bit higher over the red, white, and green curb, you can skip this anti-cut in the middle. You can use this to fly over this anti-cut in the middle, and if the car does that, it can be worth jumping from this bit here to here, and then ignoring this anti-cut, this big anti-cut. With the Ferrari I found, sometimes it bounces up, so I try to just about avoid it and carry speed around it. And then if you have a good run out of the first left-hander here, you want to be flat out, and you want to make sure that you're not completely on the curb on the right-hand side, which allows you to be flat all the way from here through Ascari. You keep it tight here, You just about clip the inside curb here. If you clip this more than this, you can get an off track, even though your right side tires are still, I think, on the white line. On the exit here, we just run close to the grass. Close to the grass will not be an off track. And as you can see, it's all flat out after that first left-hand kink. I get the novel long straight. You slowly run into the left side here. And I like using a bit of the green runoff on the left side. Again, try to angle the car a bit while you're on throttle, and then angle the car a bit towards the inside from this, because the straight line braking is too short to straight line brake and then bring it over to the apex. What I like to do, just before the end of this green, start braking with the car already angled a bit towards the inside, and then brake quite aggressively towards the apex in a straight line. And we get to the apex here, and then you want to be early on the throttle. The car will automatically run a bit wide, and you want to make sure that you're not running with two tires on this green bit here, because it goes down a bit and it makes your car understeer. And then if you have the extra grip, you can bring it to the inside again and finish the lap. And that's a lap in the new Ferrari 296. Right, so there we go. Lap in a new car, new season, at its home track. We showed you how to drive around the track, avoid the slowdowns as well, and use the curbs to your advantage. Should be a nice car on the curbs, this new one. Should be a lot of fun. Always a lot of drama with the draft involved on this track. One of my favorite weeks, always an iRacing, the Monza GT3 week. I wish everyone good luck. A lot of fun. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel.